Welcome back to the Neutral Zone. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Ole Miss Rebels as we continue along with our preview series. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe to join the nation. Let's get right into the video. Lane Kiffin has this program trending upwards. Even though Jackson Dart is on his way to the NFL with the New York Giants, I still think this program is going to be a pretty good program. As you guys can see, their the last record, last season they had 3 losses, all by single digits. 3-point loss to Kentucky, 3-point loss to LSU, a touchdown loss to Florida. This team was in, prime position to make the playoffs before they lost on the road to Florida. I don't know if they're going to be in playoff picture this season. If you guys have been kind of sticking with us for our preview series, we've done, I think this is probably our 8th, 9th, or 10th SEC team we've done so far. So those of, if you guys are fans of other teams, you guys have seen us predict this Ole Miss team. I think they have a lot of, key players that they're losing. But like I said, I think Lane Kiffin is a really good coach. I think he recruits at the highest level, both in the transfer portal as well as out of high school. So I think the ceiling for this team is very, very good. But I think there's a lot of question marks going into the year. I'm going to go ahead and flip the slide so you can kind of talk about how their roster looks and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is a team that, and we know Lane Kiffin at this point, he is going to dominate the portal. So when you look at those pass catchers, obviously Brig over Luke, one of the top tight ends probably returning in college football. They go get Harrison Wallace from Penn State. Caden Lee returns about an 800-yard receiver last year. So they went and really restocked a lot of what they lost in the portal. Yes, they lost a lot. Jackson Dart, Trey Amos, Trey Harris, Walter Nolan. You can keep going down this list because this was a very talented Ole Miss team. But for just about everybody they lost, they restocked. You got Logan Diggs, who's now getting the start at running back. Really, we get an opportunity to see what he is. But the pass catchers on this team, this may be one of the top receiving corps in college football, especially when you mix that with the tight end they're bringing over from Arkansas. These pass catchers, I think they have 3 pass catchers from last year that were over 700 yards receiving. The only problem is 2 of them are out of the transfer portal. Again, Caden Lee returning. And the big question is obviously Austin Simmons, the left-hander. Is he or can he be as good as Jackson Dart was first-round quarterback from last year? We don't know. He did come in during that Georgia game, if you guys remember. Had a drive, went down, got a touchdown. Obviously, a very small sample size. Now's his opportunity. I think if he is going to pop, with Lane Kiffin and a Lane Kiffin offense, and you guys know all the movement, all the gadgets, all the things that Lane Kiffin is going to do. This is the guy that he's going to pop under. But again, that's one of those unknowns, and that's the problem with this year in college football. We have to do a lot of guesstimating because, especially at the quarterback position, we seem to not have a lot returning. So we'll see. Is Austin Simmons one of those guys? I think he has the potential to be, especially with this group of pass catchers. But can this entire team, with, again, probably 3 of their top 4 pass catchers next year being guys that they received or got in the portal, can they build chemistry and really pop off?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this team's losing, or I guess returning production, you have to look at how much they've lost. Obviously, Dart gone. Right. Walter Nolan, who's a hell of a defensive lineman on the Cardinals now. Trey Amos is gone. You lose 3 wide receivers and Juice Wells, who transfers from South Carolina. Jordan Watkins, as well as Trey Harris. You lose Princely I'm not going to try to pronounce his name because I'm sure I'll butcher it. Chris Paul Jr., who was, I think, your leading tackler last year. But you bring back a good linebacker duo in Sunserine Perkins and TJ Daugherty. I think they're number 2 and number 3 and as far as tackle goes last year. And Logan Diggs, who transferred from LSU a few years back. But you lost Henry Parrish, and you also lost Ulysses Bentley from last year, which your two running backs. So I'm interested to see what this offense is going to look like. You brought over Harrison Wallace from Penn State, as well as Deshaun Stribling, who was formerly at Oklahoma State, and then before that at Washington State. I think he can be a factor in the offense. So I think the offense will be fine. But this might be, and don't quote me on this because I don't know off the top of my head, but this might be the biggest portal class that we've done and we've seen so far. I know we haven't looked at Colorado yet. And I know Colorado's probably one of those, upper teams as far as transfer portal additions. I think this might be the biggest transfer portal class And there's another 4 or 5, maybe 3 4-stars. All those guys on there are 4-stars that I listed on this board. So that's 8 of them. I mean, I think there's another 3 or 4 4-stars. I just couldn't fit them on the screen. So Lane Kiffin in back-to-back years has really relied on the portal heavily. They had a successful season last year, finishing 9-3. So I think it's worked for him so far, but I'm interested to see how it works this season, because this season is when you really lose a lot.
Yeah, the question is this sustainable? Right, like I mentioned, 3 out of 4 of their top pass catchers, including the tight end, are probably coming out of the portal. Dang near their entire secondary are guys that were not there last year. This team is going to be a real project. And how much does chemistry versus talent matter? I think the talent's there. The question is the fact that you are replacing and adding so many people that were someplace else last year. Does that all mesh?
And I do want to say, and I don't want to, a lot of Ole Miss fans they're immediately going to look at me sideways when I say this, but this is giving me like Florida State vibes from last season. Florida State lost a lot of talent from that conference championship team. And I'm not saying Ole Miss is going to go 2-10 by any means of of what I'm saying, but I think we're going to get that same vibe because there's a lot of talent on this team. There was a lot of talent on that Florida State team. Obviously, week 7, we said DJU sucks, Malik Benson sucks, all these people suck. But at the end of the day, going into the season, they were projected to win the ACC, or they were the number 2 team in the ACC. So I think this team is going to give me glimpses of that because they have a very hard schedule. I don't expect them to go 2-10, but they have a very hard schedule, and I can see that type of kind of growing pains when you're replacing so much productivity. But just to get right into the record prediction, I have them going 8-4. And I think that's a solid record in the SEC. That's a step back. They went 9-3 last year, which was, like I said, heading into week 12 or 13, they were in realistic conversation to get in the playoffs, but they lost at Florida. So as you guys can see, I have them losing to LSU, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Florida. The 2 games that I just cannot see them winning are LSU and then on the road at Georgia. I think those are the 2 games that I put in for my ceiling. And then the floor, obviously, you guys could count them. It's not hard to figure those out. But yeah, I think I have them going 8-4. But I could see this team fall into 6-6. I could see them going 10-2 because I could see them beating Oklahoma. I could see them beating Florida. And I think if you're 10-2, you're in the playoffs. And I think Lane Kiffin is a really good coach. So depending on kind of how this team looks heading into week 4, if this is a 4-0 team heading into week 4, and they're able to somehow, some way beat an LSU team at home, we are going to be talking about this Ole Miss team in a completely different light come, week 7, week 8, when they're, matching up against Georgia and Oklahoma.
Yeah, so I think this is, and I think I also had them losing the Arkansas game.
I'm sorry, I didn't. I didn't put the risk.
Yeah, so just that's why you see. So mine 7-5. This is a tough schedule, and just like Steven said, I'll second that. This is a team that a couple weeks in, by the time they get to that Arkansas game, and really by the time they get to that LSU game, we may know more about. Again, this is the mismatch parts where I think they have a lot of talent, but I have a genuine concern about how big of a transfer portal team this is and chemistry, especially when you mix in this tough schedule, especially when you mix in a new quarterback. And when I say new quarterback, obviously somebody who did not start last year. All of those things mixed with a very tough schedule, with some teams that have some chemistry. So when you look at Arkansas, we talked about them returning their starting quarterback. LSU's returning their starting quarterback. While we can say Georgia is not returning their starting quarterback, Gunner has been on that team. Oklahoma has a new quarterback, but again, a guy with a lot with Mateer, a guy with a lot of experience. Florida returning their quarterback. So all the teams I have them losing to are teams that have a little bit more in continuity in terms of that quarterback position, and especially with this schedule. Like I said, this is a tough schedule to navigate. This is a super talented team, and I think this is one of those teams where I can look back at the end of the year and just say, hey, I got it wrong. Lane Kiffin is a heck of a play caller. He was able to put it all together. He was able to take that many different players from that many different places and just make the talent work. And I think that's possible. This was a tough one. This has been a tough team to kind of guesstimate the entire season because they lost so much. And because of what they're bringing in, it's one of those, I think it could go either way. This could be a 10-2 team. this could be a 6-6 team. Again, I'm predicting them to be a little bit lower, but I would not be surprised if Lane Kiffin is able to put this together and this Ole Miss team really pops.
Yeah, and I do want to say, because I know Ole Miss fans are going to come in and say, last year we had a massive portal class. This is not the same when you're replacing replacing a dart, replacing your entire receiving room. You know, your two best running backs are gone. This is a completely different circumstance. You're losing your two best defensive players, three best defensive players. So this is unprecedented for Lane Kiffin and this Ole Miss team. Do I think that he's able to still have success? Yes. Obviously, I haven't gone 8-4. Ole Miss fans aren't going to like 8-4, but at the end of the day, I think when you lose a first-round quarterback, a first-round D tackle, and 5, 6, 7 other draft picks, I think 8-4 is solid in the SEC, especially when two of those games I think are legitimate swing games in Florida and Oklahoma. I think you can legitimately win those games. I would not be shocked if you guys finish 10-2. I would be more shocked if you guys beat LSU or Georgia. But with that being said, let us know what you guys think about this Ole Miss team. Let us know what other teams you guys want us to cover. As always, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to join the nation, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out, everybody.